Hey everyone, this is Adam. Last video I did was on ufology, and during that video I made quite a few outrageous claims. So I decided to take it apart bit by bit and expound upon certain topics that I discussed. And the first one that I chose is the moon. In the video I made the claim that the moon is an artificial satellite. And so what I did is I went out and gathered a bunch of information on the moon supporting such a claim. You may be wondering why I'm simply reading off information anyone could look up themselves. It's because they won't do it. Alright, so let's get started. These excerpts are from the book Our Mysterious Spaceship Moon, which was published on 2004. Okay, so, page 21. In 1843, Johann Schroeder recorded a 6-mile crater in which he named Lynn. Its depth was estimated by scientists to be only 1,200 feet. This German astronomer made hundreds of maps of the moon over many years. As he recorded his observations, he saw this tiny crater gradually disappear. Today, Lynn is just a tiny bright spot with little depth, a small pit surrounded by whitish objects. Near the crater Bert is an object shaped like a sword, and a geometric object shaped like a cross in the lunar crater Eratosthenes. In the lunar crater Gassendi are angular lines, and on the floor of the crater Littrow are 7 spots in the shape of the Greek capital Gamma. Not groundbreaking, but certainly weird. Page 24. In 1935, 2 scientists named Van der Poel and Stormer detected radio signals on and around the moon. Marconi and Tesla also reported flashing lunar lights. In 1956, Ohio University reported, along with observations around the world, a code-like radio chatter coming from the moon. In October 1958, American, Soviet, and British astronomers detected something speeding towards the moon at better than 25,000 miles per hour. They not only saw the strange object, but they heard it emitting radio signals that nobody could interpret. Page 26 to 27. The first astronaut to definitely see a UFO in orbit was Major Gordon Cooper. During the Marathon Mercury flight mission of 21 orbits in Faith 7, May 15, 1963. While making his 4th pass over Hawaii, Cooper claims he heard weird voice transmissions which he called an unintelligible foreign language. Tapes later proved that the sounds were not those of a foreign language of this planet, but those of a tongue completely alien to Earth. Although language experts for NASA have replayed these tapes over and over, they simply have not been able to analyze it. On his final orbit of Earth, while over the Muchea tracking station near Perth, Australia, the NASA astronaut Cooper sighted a weird-looking object approaching him. This UFO was also seen by over 200 people at the tracking station. Odd. Now, page 47. The unexplainable event began as the Apollo 11 spacecraft approached the moon and the astronauts began hearing weird radio noises variously likened to a fire engine, loud sirens, buzzsaw sounds, and train whistles, which interfered with the space communication hookup. Mission Control was so perplexed, they asked, "You sure you don't have anybody else up there with you?" It was clear that the strange interruptive noises came from outside the Apollo 11 spacecraft and had to be radio signals. Page 48. It was presumably when the two moonwalkers, Aldrin and Armstrong, were making the rounds some distance from the LEM lunar effect module that Armstrong clutched Aldrin's arm excitedly and exclaimed, "What was it? What the hell was it? That's all I want to know." There followed further snatches of grasping interchanges between the two astronauts, with Mission Control chiming in frantically. Mission Control, what's there? Malfunction garble. Mission Control calling Apollo 11. Apollo 11. These babies were huge, sir, enormous. Oh God, you wouldn't believe it. I'm telling you, there are other spacecraft out there, lined up on the far side of the crater. They're on the moon watching us. Okay. Very strange. Page 50. As Apollo 12 headed towards the moon, observatories all over Europe began reporting that they had sighted two bright, flashing, unknown objects in the craft's vicinity. Sighted through large telescopes, one object appeared to be following the spacecraft, and the other seemed to be traveling in front of it. Both objects appeared to be blinking on and off rapidly. The next day, Saturday, November 15th, the three Apollo 12 astronauts did report to Mission Control at Houston that they had sighted two bogies, which are UFOs. Now, page 58 through 59. This is a interchange between command module pilot and ground control. Command module pilot. What are you learning? Ground control. Hotspots on the moon, Jack. Command module. Where are your big anomalies? Can you summarize quickly? Jack, well, we'll get that for you in the next pass. CMP. Hey, I can see a bright spot down there on the landing site where they might have blown off some of that halo stuff. GC, Roger, interesting. Very go to Kilo Kilo. CMP, hey, it's gray now, and the number 1 extends. Roger, we got it. And we copy it's all the way down there. Go to Kilo Kilo on that. Kilo Kilo is a private radio channel, essentially. CMP, mode is going to HM, recorder is off. Lose a little communication there? Okay, there's Bravo Bravo, select Omni. Hey, you know, you'll never believe it. I'm right over the edge of Oriental. I just looked down and saw the lights flashing again. Roger, understand. CMP, right at the end of the reel. GC, you don't suppose it could be Vostok? Vostok is a Russian space probe. CMP, I'll be damned. I've got to mark that spot on the map. So they clearly saw something. They thought it was Russian, but Vostok was not anywhere around at the time. Page 66 to 67. The strangest anomaly concerning the moon's craters is that despite their fantastic size, even the largest gaping holes are surprisingly shallow. Craters 50, even 100 miles in diameter are no more than a mere 2 to 3 miles deep. It has been calculated that a meteor of 1 million tons would be equal in explosive force to a 1 megaton atomic bomb. We know that meteors weighing 1 million tons have clobbered the lunar surface, yet left only broad, shallow holes. Even conservative estimates by scientists indicate that meteors of about 10 miles or more in diameter should have penetrated the moon's surface to a depth of about 4 or 5 times that. Yet the deepest moon crater that we know about is the Gregorian crater. It is 186 miles in diameter and less than 4 miles deep. The conclusion that some scientists drew is that there is something extremely tough and strong under the shallow lunar surface, beneath the thin layers of rock and dirt covering the mysterious sphere that prevented deep holes. What could that tough, strong thing be? Well, page 72. In 1962, Dr. Gordon MacDonald, a leading scientist at NASA, published a report in the July issue of Astronautics. In it, he stated that according to the analysis of the moon's motion, it appears that the moon is hollow. If the astronomical data are reduced, it is found that the data requires that the interior of the moon be less dense than the outer parts. Indeed, it would seem that the moon is more like a hollow object than a homogeneous sphere. Aeronautics Magazine, July 1962. Very, very straight. Page 79. Take that 148-mile crater, for example. In the area, it outdoes Hiroshima hundreds of times over. What a powerful explosion it must have been to send millions of tons of lunar rock fountaining over tens of miles. In the face of it, one would expect to find a very deep crater here. 148 miles in diameter, yeah, it's got to be a deep crater. But nothing of the sort. There is 3 miles at most between the top and bottom levels, and 1/3 of that is accounted for by the wall of rock thrown up around the crater. For such a big hole, it is too shallow. Furthermore, the bottom of the crater is convex, following the curve of the lunar surface. So not only is this 148-mile crater too shallow, at the bottom, it's convex and following the curvature of the moon. I'll go on. Page 79 to 80. Now let us consider the chemical peculiarities of the lunar rock. Samples were brought back from the Apollo missions, and upon analysis, American scientists have found chromium, titanium, and zirconium in it. These are all metals with refractory, mechanically strong, and anti-corrosive properties. A combination of them would have inviolable resistance to heat and the ability to stand up to a means of aggression, and can be used on Earth for linings of electrical furnaces. If a material has to be devised to protect a giant artificial satellite from the unfavorable effects of temperatures from cosmic radiation and meteor bombardment, the experts would probably have hit upon these precise chemicals, or metals. So if there's any particular combination of metals that would go into building an artificial satellite, we found them on the moon. Now, page 92. The oldest rocks on planet Earth that we have discovered are in Greenland, and they are dated 3.7 billion years. One rock from man's first trip to the moon was a baffling 4.3 billion years old. Another puzzler, rock number 13, checked in at an unbelievable 4.5 billion years, and an Apollo 11 soil sample turned out to be 4.6 billion years old. Another report, based on the potassium-argon system of dating, which is now being accepted as the most accurate dating system above carbon dating, gave the unacceptable age of 7 billion years. And here's the kicker. 2 Apollo 12 rocks have been dated at 20 billion years. The moon is older than the Earth. Alright, I'm going to have to do part 2. So I'll see you in a bit.